TVP's load on up here in the bottom left. In the red, he is representing Alpha X. Give it up for ZOUN. Got it.
As in the top right is your blue Terran from Team Liquid, the Frenchman. His name is CLEM.
Desplancito. Clement Desplanches. Did you see the music video that O-Gaming TV put out for Clem for Katowice?
I did not.
Oh, they made a full-on Desplancito music video because it's because Clem's name is it Clement Desplanches? Something like that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. The O-Gaming guys are really fun. I don't tune in there often because, of course, while I do speak a little bit of French, I am very far from fluent. So, but they're very, very animated, which is always fun. Whenever I see clips of them freaking out, it's always a great time, and they do stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is again. You mentioned how Clem is rated as the third best player in the world, second best Terran, or the best Terran. And yeah, I think that is very much because he, of course, he plays Serral and Raynor the most, and of course, Raynor right now is the best player in the world. So just by that does make him the best Terran. I think I still would rate Maru better because I think overall in all of his matchups, Maru is more consistently just one of the best Terran at it. If you look at TVT, he's one of the best players from coming back from behind in TVT. His late game in TVT is one of the best as well, and then TVP, of course. Everyone's scared of Maru. So I think, usually you rate Maru a little bit higher, but Clem, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of players consider him the best, is because, his just pure ability to make things work based off of his micro is absolutely insane.
Absolutely. It's kind of funny also, we talk about things like this. I'm considering this is kind of the off season. I do think we got to take these rankings with a little bit of grain of salt, because right now it has Serral above Raynor by about 100 points. And, Raynor just won the world championship. So, yeah. Again, statistical methods like this, they're a good first-order approximation. Like, is this player in the top 10? Are they in the top 5? Whatever. But you got to take them with a significant grain of salt, especially when we're looking at kind of cross-server comparisons. That being said, Clem is insanely fast, as you did mention. His micro is fantastic. But he's just multitasking in general. It's just insane. That's really not where he falls apart. He can kind of suffer strategically, suffer tactically sometimes, maybe makes the wrong move. But certainly his ability to just micro and out-multitask his opponent is second to none. And we're going to have to see exactly whether he takes advantage of that, as we do have a Hellion on the way. I think this is most likely just going to be a scouting Hellion. And there we go. But look at this. We got DT drops are going to be the name of the game here for ZOUN. Here in this game number 1.
Well, this is interesting. DT drop, of course, is a strategy where if it's scouted out, it is decently easy for the Terran to hold, but if you're out of position just a little bit, they can get so much damage that just ramps up. As Reaper and the Hellion are going to see if they can get in to get some scouting information. The Hellion makes its way in, and it sees the Dark Shrine. You can see ZOUN there. To realize it's saying, damn, that's a bit unfortunate. Because, I absolutely did not want that. Scouted immediate Raven for Clem, and yeah, that's really gonna put a damper here on what ZOUN wanted to do, because now that the DT has been scouted, really all you do is probably head into a third base and go into maybe some Archon charge block push.
Yeah, that would be the name of the game. Now, of course, we gotta remember here that even if the DTs have been scouted, even if there's Raven out, a properly skilled Protoss player can still get something done with them. You bulldog them on in, you hot pick them up, and it's totally fine. Now, the thing, of course, you got to be careful about is whether the Raven's able to get the disable on top of the War Prism. That's where things get a little bit dicey. Now that, the Raven's got to be in proper position here, and the DTs, they're going to knock a bunker down. That really should be just about it. As now we do have the Cyclone. Now we have Marine Sat. Now the Cyclone almost getting targeted down and being forced back. But this is about the end of things. We do have the Viking just about done, and once the Viking's out, the War Prism's not going to get anything done.
Yeah, the Viking can just zone that out, follow it around, as well as the Raven. So you get a bunker, you get some damage onto a Cyclone. It's decent. It's not exactly what you want, and we do see now that Jones just going to go into the Archons, and then of course with the follow-up, the charge, you can try and do a charge slot Archon attack to slow down the Terran. And we have seen some Protosses in the past actually kind of take advantage of the fact that Clem is so reliant on his micro. I think especially Zest has been very good about just saying, well, if that's what you're going to rely on, I'm just going to keep throwing stuff at you to the point where you can't really rely on that. And that's what we saw in their semifinal match in IEM Katowice, where Zest just kind of said, you know what? I'm just going to throw Zealots at you, Charge Lots, Stalkers, Archons, everything. And eventually he did manage to beat out Clem. I'm not sure if there's any other Protoss that can really execute that kind of a strategy like Zest can, so we're probably not going to see that. But for ZOUN here, I do like it. Going up, you know, additional 5 gates, going up to 7 or so. You have the Archons getting Immortals, Charge Lot +1. I think this overall, though, you know, despite the DTs getting scouted, he's in a very, very decent position.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say you're not sure there's a Protoss that can kind of play at that level against a player like Clem. I'd go a little bit further. I'm saying I'm not sure there's a Terran player that can hold that type of aggression that Zest was throwing at Clem for that long and just not die, other than Clem. I mean, that was insane. And realistically, though, I think if Zest found an ability to get himself off of 57 workers and maybe get up to 60, 70, 80, I think that game ends a lot quicker and a whole lot easier for Zest. Granted, it was a great game and one of the all-time great games to watch, but I think that was very much a both players tunnel visioning just a little bit. That being said, I mean, Clem lost like 230 SCVs over the course of that game, something like that.
Yeah, so now this push is going to be coming out. 2 tanks, a Raven on pretty much full energy, and a whole lot of stemmed bio with combat shields coming along with it. The +1, I don't think lines up perfectly, but of course, you know, by the time the attack actually hits with the delays of ZOUN moving out to intercept it, it will be done. But this is a very, very strong Terran force, and I mean, there's 3 Archons, which of course are very good for soaking up damage. But other than that, I mean, 2 Immortals, okay, that's decent, but what else is there on the ground army? You don't have a lot of charge slots yet. You haven't been able to build up that army. And the static defense, it's only 1 cannon, so Clem really feels like he's in a great spot here to make this push work.
I actually really love this. We do see 2 tanks on the left doodad, 1 tank on the right doodad, and this is not something you see Terrans do, by the way. Generally, they'll just siege up together, but this makes it so much more difficult for ZOUN to clean up the tanks to end the push. So now we do have the Bio's going to stem on forward, knock down 1 Immortal before being forced back. Shield battery overcharge is not going to be quite good enough there. Now, I mean, the spread of these tanks are so good. Getting on top of them is going to be so difficult here. Now we do have the Chargers going on in, but the Dorito Cannon FireBird, it's going to be actually not quite enough. Will it be enough?
It's enough to force the army away, but the tanks are cleaned up, which is what ZOUN wanted there. The tanks are what makes that position so hard to break. The tanks are what are going to do the damage over the long run, so he cleans those up, and that flank was just very, very good there from ZOUN. Brings in the charge slots, has that warp prism, and it means that while Clem can posture with this bio, he can't do much more than that. He can try and poke in with it, he can try and get some damage done, but in the long term, he's not going to be able to get any damage done with it. That being said, double drop on into the main from Clem, bringing on all of his units, as there's also a Zealot run by into the 3rd. So much action going down that will get cleaned up in the main, and meanwhile on the other side, 5 SCVs getting killed. ZOUN taking the better of these engagements.
Yeah, it's only 5 workers, though. Again, the big deal, though, is ZOUN has had his tech touched not at all. Right, he is able to be solidly on 3 bases. He lost 1 Immortal, and that's just about the entirety of the loss. I mean, he lost an Immortal and an Archon, and those are like the only big, important losses that he has suffered. His economy hasn't taken any damage. His tech hasn't taken any damage. So Clem is not really getting what he wants out of this game. That being said, he's going to keep posturing, but he only has a 9 army supply lead, and when you go for this style as the Terran player, you're kind of banking on this idea that you will have an army supply lead. But no, ZOUN is going to circumnavigate. Oh, look at that feedback on the Raven, too. ZOUN is just going to circumnavigate the Terran army at this point, and now it's going to be a base trade here. A base trade that the Protoss will instigate, but of course, base trading a Terran player is always a little bit scary because their buildings can fly, and their army can all fly as well. So now we will see third base go down, and with these tanks and these Liberators, it's going to be mad difficult for ZOUN to really find his way on into the main base. So he's going to be forced backwards, I think. No, Charlotte's going to go on forward here. Tank's going to go down. Liberator's still firing strong here. And I think actually, okay, he doesn't have quite enough to make the hold initially, but he's going to have more than enough, especially once his army does go on home here. Now, the storms are going to be somewhat decent, but wow, the War Prism's just about dead here. That's going to be... Oh, you got to be careful there.
Yeah, June, though, I really like this. Brought back the Warp Prism just for those storms. Meanwhile, cleans up the army in the natural for Clem. So while Clem can't really push in because of those storms, because of the AoE that can zone out his army, June forces a lift off here, and Clem, he's gonna have to back up. So the Protoss, I mean, right now, just making the right choices, making the right calls, and it means that he does manage to keep up his natural base mining. He does have the worker lead, and now Clem's army is just straight bio force. It doesn't trade, as you said, it doesn't trade well against just Archons and Charge Lots and Immortals when the Protoss just has more.
Especially when Clem is overstimmed as he is. And you're right, Joe, he's got all the right moves in all the right places, and Clem, you're going down. But anyways, that's gonna be it for that. But anyway, yeah, we do now have Joe, and he's getting aggressive. Yes, he did lose his third base, but he still has a full 2-base economy here on 43 workers. A ton of storms. There are no bunkers. There is not a lot of static defense or even active defense here for Clemens. He's going to try to make that attack happen. Now, the disruptive shot's not going to be the best, but these storms are going to be really nice here. And, oh, man. Yeah, these storms are absolutely doing everything. GG. Joan going to take game number 1.
Is currently 1-0 in this match, and that gentleman who won the first game, it's your red Protoss from Alpha X. His name is Joan.
And his opponent in the upper left, in the blue, he's Clem. The little corporal looking to marshal his forces and put himself on a 1-1 tie, take it to that ace match. Or, I mean, realistically, he's going to play again, but you know.
I mean, I don't know if you end up getting all 1-1s. I really don't know who you would send out. If you are confident as both Joan and Clem to go out again and, you know, send that to a best and pretty much make it into a best of 3, or if maybe, you know, or if you send out Mana or Ragnarok, it would be hard to call if you have, you know, 3 1-1s. Because of course, if you have a 2-0, a 2-0, and then a 1-1, obviously both teams are gonna be confident in sending out those players who obviously are in good form. But this situation, I mean, it's been incredibly close, and it's been great to watch how, you know, well matched up these players are in terms of skill level, because we really are seeing a lot of really great games.
Absolutely. In my mind, the ideal scenario is 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, going to the ace match, both players, or every match, go into that tied scoreline. That does mean, of course, that the teams are very well matched, and they've done their preparation very well as well. How many times can I say well in one sentence? FireBird.
Well, I actually... You could, because there's well and then there's a well, like, that you would get water from. And I don't know if there's any other ways that you could use it, but, you know, maybe someone could find it. Probably, you know, some person who makes tongue twisters out there has heard that. It's like, oh, I just had an epiphany, and has gone to write it down. But as it is on Submarine, no early shenanigans. You have that natural pace coming down from Clem. But actually, as I say, no early shenanigans, we are seeing a Marauder and concussive shells. So this is going to be for some early pressure with the factory, and perhaps, okay, no, we're going to actually see a second barracks. This is interesting from Clem.
This is something, oh man, I don't think it was Clem. I've seen this build recently on this map. It was TY maybe that went for something like this. I can't remember where I saw it. But yeah, the goal here, you move across the map with a bunch of, with you know, 3 concussive shell marauders, much like a proxy concussive shell. But and you just look to tag things. Oh, look at Clem. He's, oh no, it's gonna get scouted. But that's actually really good news, because it does mean that the SCV is gonna be saved. But oh, the adept would have gone down. Clem mistiming the adept shade. Anyway, point being, of course, is you're able to knock down the first adept really quickly and then make that push happening. So behind this is 3 racks. This is stim on the way. So this is gonna be a 3-rack stim timing coming on in from Mr. Desplanches. And we're just going to have to see how well Joan can deal with this. Now, of course, Joan, he is aware of this fact. Now he's going to Oracle to try to deal with things. I honestly feel like a Void Race may be better against a bunch of Marauders here, but, well, nothing else. And now with the shield batteries on out, with the Adepts here, these Marauders are not going to get anything done.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because in a regular game, the actual the three racks with your stim and your combat shields does actually it does actually beat Stargate. If it's not scouted, it does just beat it. But because Clem went for this more of this this earlier attack with the concussive shells, does end up getting repelled, and now you have the Oracle on the way for ZOUN. Is I believe he's getting actually a second Oracle as well. So going to be really trying to get some damage done with this harass. And for Clem getting the +1, getting the stim, it looks like he's going to try and have a follow-up here. It looks like he's, that he isn't going to be done with it. Because with this +1, he's going to try and get more damage. And of course, ZOUN scouts it. He sees that it's researching, and that should kind of let him know that, hey, I kind of stay on 2 bases here, and as long as I have a big enough army and defend this push, I should be fine.
Wow, I love the caster curse when you say, oh yeah, I'm going to stay on 2 bases, I'm going to be fine. ZOUN immediately takes the 3rd base. Now, he does have a couple sentries on the way, and that is going to be very useful for defending this push. But you got to remember, right, this stim timing here that's going to come on in is going to be a lot more powerful than it normally will be because there's no ability to micro against it, not with the Marauders in the map right now. But I love this. The Oracles, they're not being used as defensive tools in terms of actually fighting because, I mean, realistically, what can they do against that stim bio? But the Stasis Trap! The Stasis Trap! Oh, it's going to get half the army.
A huge pickoff is, still it's a lot of bio here from Clem, so he can try and make something work with it. He just needs to delay until he has the rest of that. Of course, there's no real anything to support this. There's no medevacs, there's no anything like that, and that stasis trap delaying it means that the rest of the army can be warped in and can be gathered together. And suddenly for Clem, what was looking like a promising attack, well, it's not going to do a lot just because of that. It was slowed down so much. And ZOUN, he's getting his third base up. He's going to have Blink on the way. He can start saturating that. And I really don't know what Clem can do because he's only just now getting up his Stargate. Or Starport.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, of course, as you said, going to be Blink behind that. So ZOUN actually adding I should say 3 more gates. Surprising, but no, it's just with the 3rd base there. And these Oracles, of course, Oracles very good against light units. Marines, they are light. Especially if you remember, what was it? The map with the water, so everything would float on up. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. It was in the ladder pool for like 4 seasons. But anyway, we saw Marines were light. They floated on up when they did die. And this Oracle no, it does not have quite enough energy to knock down the command center. But getting very close. The command center's on like 5 HP, I think. Anyway, Oracles will not be able to do that, but delaying the 3rd base for quite a while here is Clem. He's going to try to take it on location, realizing that he's a little bit behind, but, well, when you take that kind of risk, sometimes it does get punished, as ZOUN did punish there. Now, Clem, once again, he does have a big army. It is up 12 army supply, does have +1, stim, combat shields, concussive shield, all that. It is a scary army. But you got to remember, now there is Blink here, which means concussive shield not nearly as impactful as it normally would be. And with the shield batteries here, Clem not really going to be able to get what he wants because, I mean, every stim is just permanent damage onto his army.
The Stalker's posturing around now. It is a lot of bio here for Clem. If you can get the medevacs that he's producing across the map to heal this army up, of course that does make a big difference, but there is going to be a pause. Not sure which player that was from as I can't see the names. Looks like Clem getting a bit of lag, so they're going to be trying to figure this on out. But, I mean, this is an awkward position to pause in as well, because mind you, Clem, he's trying to posture, take his 3rd. And these players are really looking to try and just at this one engagement as going to be deciding quite a bit for this game. So it's interesting. I'm not sure how this is going to play out because, of course, if they're medevacs, if those medevacs are allowed to, get with the army, suddenly it looks a lot different because there's a lot more sustainability with the force that Clem has.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, the Motor Beck's on. Signaling here as well, saying, I don't know that pauses were technically allowed. Now, I haven't seen the rulebook, so I'm not totally sure. But apparently maybe that's one of the reasons they're delaying a little bit. I don't know if pauses are allowed or not. Now, I assume, I mean, it's online. It's stuff you got to deal with. Anyway, we're going to wait to see exactly what happens with that. Probably just going to let the ping settle on down just a little bit. I don't know if that's the issue. I don't know. Maybe Clem's computer is dead, but of anyone, members of any team, they're just going to have like the top of the line computers. Of course, I believe Liquid is sponsored by Alienware. So, I know. I mean, have you seen? I don't know if you've seen pictures of their like Alienware training facility in But the Netherlands, I think.
I don't believe I have.
Yeah, they opened it up like right towards the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2021, and it is beautiful. But we're back in the game, so let's get back into it.
I was just looking up the training facility. It does look beautiful from what I saw, but we are back, and you have medevacs now with this push, which makes it a whole lot dangerous, a whole lot more microable for CLEM. We're gonna have to see what can happen. You know, these revelations being used, some nice pickups to make sure that CLEM doesn't lose anything. Of course, he needs to put on pressure here because he can't allow the Protoss to probe up. He can't allow the Protoss to feel comfortable just getting up his worker count, because if he does, suddenly he's going to be even further behind, because he's only just now gained his third. But there's now a tank with this push, and this makes it a whole lot more dangerous, as now the army positioning, you know, has to be a lot more cautious here for ZOUN. He really has to wait. Pops the shield battery overcharge, actually, so CLEM is going to decide to back off, actually. Says, you know what, I've done enough. I have my third base up, and he's going to try and regroup here and see what he can do with maybe a push later on.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he was worried about, like, Charge finishing up or something. But Charge, of course, is not finishing up. But more importantly, we have Storm here. And CLEM was aware of that. So, again, maybe just his army's overstimmed, so you wait for that. Now, the one thing we don't have is actually a Robo at all, but we don't have a Warp Prism. So these Storms are going to be rather vulnerable. These Side Templar are going to be rather vulnerable in the upcoming push. Now, of course, we do have a bunch of Charlottes that are going to run on in, and it's going to be just a big flank. That Storm is not going to be all that great here. I mean, it's going to give you something, but actually, no, this is the big deal, of course, is 2 medevacs are going to get targeted down. I don't know, really, if ZOUN is going to be able to break it on in here, not with the tanks, not with this 3-base setup. Funny thing about this map is actually it's really easy to hold on to 3 bases. Turtle on up, but the Stars will blink forward. Charlotte's going on in as well, and no, okay, so this is just what's going to happen. Jones says, look, you're going to try to hold the 3rd base. Fine, that's okay. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to take that position between the natural and the 3rd. I'm going to try to cut down as much as I can. But no, he's going to be forced back just a little bit. And a lot of the Storms have been removed. Actually, nice job there targeting down one of the lagging High Templar.
Yeah, no, those are some really bad Storms from ZOUN. He didn't actually get too much value, only picked off like 1 Marine or 1 Marauder with them, because he was worried about the full force coming in. But CLEM just microed it perfectly, pushed one forward to force the High Templar to respect it. And now with no Storms, yeah, he can just push this down. He can just stim it down. He's going to get a few units on the retreat. And CLEM, he's held on to a 3rd base. There's a 4th coming up for ZOUN. But this is, you know, the Terran holds on, and that's great, because that was the push that was so dangerous, you know. And now he's getting Ghosts. Now he's getting his +2. Now he's getting Liberators. And a 4th base of his own. So while it was dangerous, CLEM holding on there means that he's in a great spot.
You're not wrong, but now, of course, we do have ZOUN also advancing into his tech path. We will see Disruptors on the way, +2 attack is on the way as well. So ZOUN actually going to be a rather upgrade deficit. He only is 1 forge for the moment, getting that 2nd forge now. So, yeah, he's down 1 upgrade. He will be down 2 upgrades in the next bit of time here. But, oh, it's going to be, double Colossus play. Okay. I very much expected that to be double Disruptor, but no, it will be just double Colossus. And you know what? I do kind of like that against the large amount of Widow Mines that we see on in here. And as long as he can get some good flanking High Templars, he's going to be in a pretty good spot, because, of course, with now Ghosts out on the map, EMPs are going to be a thing. Those Storms are going to be a good bit better than the previous ones were, absolutely.
Yeah, with 2 EMPs being used, ZOUN just pushes them forward, gets a lot of damage there onto some of the Widow Mines, and especially on some of the Bio as a Liberator. Does get 6 kills in the back. ZOUN, his army's slightly smaller, but again, does just have those Archons. Has 2 Colossus that pop out at the perfect time, and that is a bunch of orange. Oh, the flanking High Templar gets a huge Storm, and CLEM can't fight this. He does not have enough. The AoE damage means that his army is just going to get shredded, and ZOUN looks like he can hold on. Looks like CLEM's going to have to back up, but both players onto 4 bases. Zealot run-bys heading on in now, and ZOUN going to try and get some revenge for those 8 workers killed. Going to get some back of his own. Looks like only 5, yeah, only around 7 workers or SCVs, but that's a decent counterattack.
You know, considering he lost 8 probes, 7 SCVs, that's just about equal. So, nice job there. And man, this is turning into a really good mid to late game here. With how weird everything was to start, I didn't kind of think we would get there, but now ZOUN, CLEM fighting their way on into the late game at this point, and now we get to see some real dynamic play. Now, CLEM's going to look to dive on in here, but as difficult as it was for ZOUN to dive on into CLEM's 3rd base, it is similarly difficult for CLEM to get on into ZOUN's. Both players pretty much maxed out. We're going to see a... No, that's a juicy Storm! God damn! Now, it's not going to kill a lot, but yeah. That is, Clem's not going to be able to attack for the time being, and that's going to eat a lot of energy on those medevacs. That is a insanely good storm.
Yeah, you could see on Clem's face, he was like, oh, that was way too much damage. I think he was focusing on something else at the time because his army was all clumped up, and then he just moved it back straight through the storm, lost a lot of damage, and as you said, the medevac energy is going to be all used up because of it, but as Clem continues posturing, he does have a good ghost count that's been built up, which is obviously going to help him out because there is a lot of Archons here, but 4 Colossus it's not a number to scoff at. Even without shields, those do just melt bio so quickly. So again, it's going to be really hard for both these players to really push in, as that's going to be a catch on 2 ghosts, breeding for that observer, and Clem, again, it's really hard for him to push into this army. There's so much AoE that's available. With that being said, and one Colossus getting focused down doesn't get killed. EMPs are nice, but with the disruptors here, it's really hard for Clem to push the issue.
Absolutely. It's not like there are a ton of Vikings as of yet here. Certainly enough for the Stalkers to deal with, but no, it looks like Clem maybe found the inside track with those upgrades. But no, he will be forced back for the time being, and as long as ZOUN is able to just play as defensive as he wants, I mean, he's going to be fine. That being said, Clem, realizing that this game is not ending anytime soon, double command center on the way. Actually, I think 1's done, but 2 extra command centers out outside the 4th base. 1's probably going to be for the planetary. 1's probably going to be that's going to be floated and built eventually, and 1 will just be for that extra orbital. That does, of course, allow you to get more production there. Now, this 5th base of ZOUN will get found on out here, and it looks like it will be allowed to complete, which means I believe it's just going to die. And actually, Clem, taking really good advantage of the high ground, will be able to target down 1. Yes, there we go. 1 Colossus will go. Actually, I think 2 Colossus died in that fight. The base is going to get killed. And it's actually going to be rather nice for Clem, as now the Oracles that have been so useful this game will get a little bit more. Unfortunately, they will eventually get taken down, as now Clem's going to look to push on in once again. Disruptor's really just not landing, and I don't think we have any storms either, so actually it looks like Clem has barely all. Yeah, it looks like Clem has absolutely enough to push on in here. He just of course have to be careful about disruptor shots, but it's just 2 disruptors. There's not a whole lot here left in the army here for ZOUN from a tech perspective. A couple of Templars getting warped on in. We're going to see some more Archons, but that's not a sustainable army.
Yeah, I'm so surprised. Really. Yeah, I'm so surprised that he didn't just rebuild High Templar. I feel like those were such a big help, especially when you have such an army that loves to ball up, like this army from CLEM has some great focus fire, gets rid of the disruptors. The Archons, their shields can get eliminated immediately. I feel like the High Templar, it's fine to run that risk with them, because you can just get, again, you can get a Warp Prism. You can have High Templar and a Warp Prism. But the Archons, it's much harder. They can get EMP down, and then their use is very much deteriorated, as some good splits, a decent hit on the end of it, but this army for Clem is just absolutely massive. There's not much to be done. Nice pickups! And Clem just doing absolutely as much as he can with this bio force as he's transitioning into the Liberators, as he's getting more and more bases behind it, but the DTs, gonna see what damage they can get done. Only 3 workers so far, and it should get cleaned up, so not as much as ZOUN probably wanted.
Absolutely. Now Clem milking a 50 army supply lead, and yeah, we're gonna go bowling for Terran, but unfortunately, the Terran, he doesn't like that. He's not a candlestick. He's not a candlepin. He's not a whatever the actual normal bowling pins are called. I guess bowling pins. Anyway, he will not be knocked down so easily. And now we do have him posturing on up here. Liberators adding that additional level of tech that it's so difficult for disruptors to deal with. And Clem realizing that, okay, can I really fight into this? Maybe not, but I can certainly split off some of my army and deal with the 4th base. Actually, no, he's not going to do that whatsoever. Never mind. Oh, now he is. Okay. Anyway, now with this massive free split coming on in, it's going to be so difficult for any sort of disruptor to get anything here.
Yeah, I mean, there will be nice cleans up here onto the Liberators. A flank coming through with charge. Lots of disruptors are moving so far forward. ZOUN, I mean, he's been struggling to kind of control these disruptors. That's a nice hit, though. He's going to clean up the army on the right side. And on the left side, again, has 3 disruptors left. He's going to just try and zone it out as he's trying to rebuild. He's trying to get up a 5th base, but you already have Clem on 5 bases, looking to add on a 6th. It's just continuing to power up on this army. And I'm not sure what our Protoss can do, because, well, he is mining the same. Again, this army, it is just slowly getting countered. Clem is just slowly building the units that he needs to deal with it. And these disruptors, again, the control not as good as they need to be on them. They're getting picked off whenever they try and shoot out their shot. 5th base gets cleaned up, and Clem now taking a 60 supply lead.
Absolutely here. You're right. I think we've seen more Disruptors die than I think we've seen Disruptors kill at this point, which is rather unfortunate here. Clem's going to stim on in once again. Nice Disruptor shot at the end of the day, though. He's not going to get it quite fast enough, and maybe that's going to buy Joan the time he wants to maybe make sure something happens. Yeah, Joan will be able to force Clem back. But again, Clem, he has every base he can reasonably be expected to take on the map. Now, this is actually a really nice chase. So many Widowmine, or so many Medivacs haven't taken down here. Meanwhile, it looks like DTs did get some more damage done on into the third base. And this is actually the closest we've seen the supply get in a hot minute, to say the least here. But Joan has to get more damage done than just this. He has to go knock a base down at the very least. And I don't know. I mean, it's still a 40 supply lead. It's not 60. It's not what it was, but it's still a 40 army supply lead. And there is not a world where Joan is able to fight through Clem's army and the planetaries that do exist. Not yet. Now, granted, Joan has done a really good job of getting that 5th base up undetected, so he is happy from that perspective. But Clem is still a base up on him, and in the style that Joan is playing, you do want to have that really good economy.
So many Liberators just completely destroy the army. All of Disruptors go down. This is, I don't think I've ever seen this many Liberators just come through from a player. Absolutely insane. One push is all it needs. Clem gets the win. We're tied up 1-1. We're going to the ace match.